Alright, hello everyone, it's Teamrocketdraws here with another Pokemon drawing tutorial. And for this video, guys, we're gonna be drawing Decidueye. I have a hard time pronouncing him, but yeah, as you guys can see on screen, this is how he ends up looking like. So if you guys want to learn how to draw him, then let's get started. I'm also gonna put up a reference right now on screen, that way it's easier for you guys to draw, and at the same time you guys will get all your details. So just like my other videos, guys, we're gonna start off by doing a sketch, and then from there on you guys are gonna do your final drawing. So remember to do your line slides. So first of all, we're gonna start by doing simple shapes, that way we could get it proportioned, and then from there on we're gonna start adding details. So just try to get it these shapes as close as you can to the way I have them here, that way it's a little bit easier to follow. So first of all, we're gonna start by doing a circle and try to make it as perfect as you can. I know mine's not perfect, but just try to make it as close as you guys can to the way I have it. It just makes it a lot easier to follow. So basically that's gonna be the head. Then we're gonna do an oval shape for the body, and then basically do like the outline of the wings. And that's pretty much it, guys. So now that we have the circle, we're gonna split it down the middle both ways. And right there I noticed that it's a little bit higher than the middle, the one going sideways. I do erase it. I noticed that when I was doing the drawing, but then I think I redo it on the same spot, I think. No, I think, okay, it's a little bit better. Still a little bit too high. So you guys might want to like just try to get yours as close as you can to the middle, you know. Alright guys, so now that we have that, we're going to start off by doing the body right here in just a little bit. Right here I'm just looking at the reference, you know, trying to get the seeing how big it is, how like long it is, you know. So gotta say it starts around there. Actually changing just a little bit, but basically try to get it that long. And I do end up making mine a little bit different than the reference. You guys might want to change that. Just the angle of the body right here of this shape. On mine I make a little bit more of an angle pointing downwards. So if you guys look at the reference, he's almost like straight, you know, just the head is like a little bit higher. So I would do the shape, that shape a little bit more higher than the way I have it, or you guys could just do it the way I have it. And yeah, there we go. So now we basically got a rough shape of the body. Alright, so now a little bit higher than the middle line, we're gonna do this line which goes almost straight up, and this is basically gonna be the wing. So you guys can look at the reference and get the angle of it. This probably is gonna be the hardest thing, is just trying to get the wings the right size. So now that we have that, we're gonna start off around here. It's basically the half of the circle, so we're just gonna follow through that all the way up, same thickness, parallel to the other line, and then we could just curve the top a little bit. So basically that's gonna be part of the wing. Alright, so now we could extend the top a little bit. Alright, so now for the legs, so let's just split this one in the middle and just curve the line a little bit. I actually changed this one right now that I'm doing a little bit higher, like it should be matching up a little bit higher than the way I have it here, but I'll do that in just a little bit. Alright, so now that we have that, we're gonna do this line right there. And I noticed I think it was gonna be a little bit easier doing the middle one first, so I start off at the top. And now the same thickness, we're gonna go the same on the other side and do another one. Alright, so once it gets to the middle, or a little bit higher than the middle, it starts getting a little bit wider. Not much, but it does. There we go. And that's what I noticed, that this leg should actually meet up around that. So I do change it, and it's basically the same thing. I just change the top line. There we go. Alright, so now basically the same thing. Once again, the same distance. we're gonna do this one, and this one at the top almost goes straight a little bit, and then it just curves down and it connects with this one. There we go. I changed this middle one just because I didn't like the shape of it a little bit, so I work on it. There we go, guys. Now we got that wing. Now we start by doing the other one. The other one sticks out around here. It kind of matches up with the body right there. And this one goes about halfway the other one. So maybe around there. And then if you guys look at the reference, it stands out. It sticks. It starts on the other side right here, and the other wing comes like from the other wing a little bit. Once again, trying to get this like shape of the wing a little bit, you know. Alright, so now we could do one of those lines over here on this side, and this one's a lot thinner than the one on the other wing. Basically those lines are just reference lines. It's just gonna help us once we do the actual like feathers. Alright, so now that we have that, we could just do this line, and we're gonna do like the X or the orange X that he has on his chest. Right here, they're basically triangle shapes, guys. There we go. Alright, now we're gonna do this line. It's not that long. And then we're gonna do this other line right here. The same thing on this side, do a line right in the middle. And then this one's a lot shorter than the other one, so we're gonna do it around there. Alright, so now we can just do the outside. Basically that was just like the middle of the legs. Just try to make them almost the same thickness. There we go. And I'm sorry if you guys can hear like sounds in the background. It's just raining really hard. There's like a storm here in my area, and it's really strong, like really loud. Just a lot of air. So now we're gonna do that line for the feet, the claws, I mean. So this one sticks out around there. And we could just do this like simple shape of this one right here. He actually has like a finger that sticks out a little bit more, but we can start out by doing that one. I'm not sure if I do it right now or later on. I think I do it now. So split that part in the middle, and then just curve it, and it curves to this way. So we could just curve it like that. And then we can't see the other one. There we go, guys. Now for this one, we really can't see the claw, so we could just do basically like the outline of it. There we go. The one on the left leg looks a little bit wider than the other one, so just try to make them the same size. Alright guys, now that we have that, we're gonna start off by doing like his hood, I guess. So we're gonna do a line right here, another one over here, and just pay attention to where it crosses, like, you know, the other lines. This probably might be the hardest part of this tutorial, just getting this part done. And this one comes out of the circle. Now we're gonna do like the biggest one. So this one goes about the same height as the other one, and this one just goes outside of the circle, like almost right in the middle of the actual circle. So this might take you a couple tries to do it. Damn guys, it's raining really hard. I can hear the trees. Alright, so now on this side we're gonna do those like green triangles once around here. And these go up to the outline of the other wing in the back. So these are basically the same. It kind of makes like an M shape right there if you guys notice. And then we have another one around here. And these three are almost like the same size triangles, you know. Now I'm just looking at the reference and I'm looking at the small details of what we could do. So around here we're gonna do the eye, which I make way too big right here. Just make it a little bit smaller than I make mine. I made mine way too big, so I do change that once I do my final drawing. And then what we could do is like a little bit higher than the middle, not in the middle. We're just gonna split it, just so we could have that like that look in his eye, you know. Then he has the eye right there. You guys might not be able to see that too well, but if you guys look at the reference, you guys might see what I was doing. Alright, so now for the beak right here, it's kind of hard guys because his actual head is a little bit inside of the circle. It doesn't follow the complete circle. So right here I'm just doing that line where it connects to the beak, and the beak is almost the same size as his eye. So just look at this shape right here. Kind of like in the middle, it kind of like, it's like a, how should I say, like a triangle shape almost. It's really hard to explain guys. Maybe just by looking at it you guys might be able to do it. So then this one basically goes under his eye a little bit. So the eye, I make it way too big. So now we could do the feather on top of his head. So right now I'm just doing the triangle or like this diamond shape that he has on top of his head where the feather starts, like the orange triangle. Starts around here. And then we could just do the overall shape of the feather. So the feather does go further than the wing. And the length of the feather is about the same length as the circle. It's not perfect, but it's around the same length. Now that we got the shape, we could just do the little parts that it's missing, you know, like the little shapes that he has. And these almost line up on the same area. So now that we have that, we could just erase the outline, and we get basically the shape of the feather. Now we could do the other spikes, green spikes that are on the other side of the face. And look at the reference guys right here, just so you guys could basically know what we're doing. It's gonna be a little bit hard doing it, following or looking at my drawing or my sketch, just because the quality of my video is not too good, like the camera. Alright, so now around here we're gonna do this, like it's kind of like one of those green, I don't know what to call that. And then this one goes to around here, curves in a little bit, and then it just goes up and connects to the top like this. Once again, look at the reference, that way you guys can know what we're doing. So that's like the green part. So now I'm just trying to do like those strings. It kind of, I guess it's like a hoodie in a way it tries to represent. And these are just like the strings that it has, and I'm just looking at where they are compared to the reference. So remember guys, this is a sketch, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, although the better that you make it, the easier it's gonna be once you're finished. So it has another one here, and it's basically the same size as the other one, so just try to do those two the same size. Alright, so now for the wing, we're gonna do each individual feather, and we're using those lines that we did earlier to do these, you know, just to help us a little bit. And I had trouble doing it here, guys. Usually I like to do the same amount of, for example here, the same amount of feathers on the wings, but once I was doing it, it was gonna be too confusing for you guys, a little bit slower, so I just decided just to keep on going and just doing the same shapes over and over, trying to make them the same thickness, but just like getting smaller as they get closer to the body. There we go. Another one here. And it has another one right here. So on the reference, it has 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 total feathers, including the ones that the top that we didn't do. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So I did one less than the actual reference, but it doesn't have to be the same, guys. So now that we have that, we're gonna use this line right here to do these shapes, and it has 2 4 6. So I do that the same thing, and they get a little bit bigger as it goes higher. I probably could have done a better shape. They kind of look like upside down Diglets. And just try to space them evenly, even though I didn't do that on mine. But it might be a little bit helpful, and it might look a little bit better on yours. Alright, so now we can do I guess like the fingers ones right here. And then this one's a little bit wider, and it goes a little bit higher, so I fixed that, you know. Just because we did the reference lines of the wing, or the outline of the wings like that, doesn't mean it has to be there. You know, they're just there to help us place everything, so don't try to like fit everything between those lines. If you guys like to make it a little bit better, and if it goes over those lines, you know, then it doesn't really matter. Those lines are just there just to help us know where to place them, so don't let those confuse you. So now we're gonna do these 3 right here, and this one sticks out. So now on this side we could do the same thing, and these ones are a little bit smaller than the ones we did in the other one. Another one here. So they get a little bit smaller the further they go down, but don't make like a drastic change, you know, in the size. And if it doesn't match up the same like on the reference on your drawing, then just keep going, you know, keep doing those shapes, you know. That way it could look better on your drawing. Alright, so then he has these like 3 circles, and once again try to place them on the right spot, and the same size for each. So now that we have that, guys, we basically got most of a Decidueye, and now we're gonna do basically like his tail. So they start off around there, here, and then we could just do almost like a straight line and just curve it a little bit, and then do this one the same. And I'm doing it over the wing just so I can know that it's gonna line up good on the body. Now it has like another one, but the other one on the other side, you can't see the other line, so I leave it like that. And it doesn't match up the same like the reference, but like I said before, it doesn't matter, you know. If it's not gonna match up on your drawing and you try to do it exactly like the reference, then it's gonna look a little bit awkward. So just as long as it looks good on your drawing, then go for it. You know, it doesn't have to be like my sketch or the actual reference. I do a lot of changes on my drawing so it can look good, you know, and just because it's not gonna match up the same as the reference. So don't feel bad, guys, if you guys some parts don't match up the same. Just work on it, you know, make any small changes just so it can look good on your drawing and have it that way. So now we're basically done with everything. Now we're just gonna go back and erase all those reference lines, like basically all those lines that are not on the actual reference. That way it's not that confusing and you guys can get a little bit better idea, or the way he looks, you know, just a little bit more cleaner, in other words. So just erase these lines. That's why I said earlier in the video not to press that hard, just because we were gonna erase a lot of lines. So we basically got our sketch. Now it's just about going back, guys, looking at your sketch and just making any small changes to it, anything that you guys can make better. The wings, you know, any lines that you guys can make a little bit better. If there's something that's bothering you, go ahead and change it, you know, experiment. Change the angles of anything that you guys might not like. Something that I do change once I did my final drawing was the wing, the big wing. Those feathers that are sticking out, the angle of those feathers, I changed them a little bit, just because I wasn't too happy with the way it was. But that's basically the only change that I do to the actual sketch. Other than that, I just leave everything where it is, just because I like where it was. But like I said, just look at your drawing and just make those changes, so whatever you guys need to change on yours. So just look at the reference, guys, and look at yours, and if there's something that you missed, because there's always small things. For example, right here on the forehead, he has these like little curves on the forehead. We got to do those. Right here I'm just looking at the little spikes on his face. And basically try to make it look good, even though it's not matching like the reference. As long as it looks good on my drawing, then I'm gonna make those small changes and just finish it off. So I'm basically done. Like I said before, that's probably the only thing I do change out of my sketch, is just the angle of those feathers. You guys don't have to do that if you guys are happy with it. If you guys like where they are, then you guys can leave them. But that's something I changed personally on my sketch. And then right here also the angle, so around halfway, it kind of ends like in a point almost. It's basically where it curves. It's not an actual point, but it's basically where it starts curving, you know. So I make it a point just to make it a little bit easier on you guys, so we could erase those lines in between those upside down diglets. And we're done, guys. So from here on, you guys can do anything. Finish it off, make those changes that you guys need, just to make your sketch a little bit better. I guess right here I'm working on the shape of the body a little bit right there, making it a little bit better, just because it's not a straight line like we had it before. So right here I'm looking at those like lines, those curves that he has, and just making those. Also on the legs right here, they're not the shapes that we did earlier. Those just like a rough shape, that way we can basically know where to put it. He also has these like little triangle things that stick out and they basically connect. So these are just adding those details, you know, and it just makes the drawing, the sketch stand out even more, because the more details you add in, the better it's gonna look. But at the same time, don't add too much, because sometimes details tend to get a little bit overboard and it doesn't end up looking great. So right there I'm just working on the stomach, you know, just because once again it's not like a perfect round line. He has curves to the actual body. The same thing right here, and just making small changes. But that's it, guys. You guys can go do anything from here. A lot of people, they outline their drawing or the sketch in ink, you know, with a pen or something, and then they just erase their sketch. once the ink is dry, like the pencil markings or whatever. But I erased my whole sketch, you know, and even though I'm erasing, I can still see those lines in person. They're a little bit more noticeable than on video. And then I basically start all over, you know. I start in one spot. Usually I start like around the face on all my drawings, and then just work from there, you know. Look at the lines that I had before and just look at the reference, and if I can make any changes, then I do them there. But basically it's the same thing as the sketch. Like I said before, the only thing I did change was the angle of the wing. You guys, if you guys pay close attention, you guys might see where they were before, just because I pressed a little bit harder once I was doing my final outline, and then I didn't like it, so I had to erase it. So it was a little bit harder to get rid of, but they're still there. They're a little bit noticeable. So basically I just changed the angle of the wings right there, but that's it, guys, and just worked on the lines a little bit better. So it's the same as the reference, just a lot cleaner. And basically that's it, guys. I think when I was drawing him, I thought he was gonna, like, the tutorial was gonna be a little bit harder than my average tutorials, but now that I'm doing the voiceover and I'm looking back at it, I think it's not that hard, you know. Obviously it's not easy, but at the same time it's not too hard. It's not something I don't think you guys could do. I know that you guys are great artists, so I don't think that you guys will have too much trouble with it. And if you guys do, then you guys could always leave a comment asking for any help, you know. If I see any comments asking for help, then obviously I'm gonna try my best to answer and maybe give you guys a couple hints or, like, you know, tips or anything like that. And then other people could also maybe help you out that are also trying to draw Decidueye. So yeah, guys, so this is my final outline. I always do it in pencil, and I just work on the details, you know. I look at the reference and just try to do my best trying to add all those details that the reference has. I think this one's a fan-made reference. I found this on Google. All my images are from Google. I just looked them up, and any that I think you guys might want to, like, are good or easy enough to draw, then I pick those, you know, and then I just plan those out and do these tutorials for you guys. But it's fan-made, I believe. It's not, I don't think it's an actual reference or picture of Pokemon. So it's pretty cool though. Another thing that I do check is I look up the tutorials on YouTube. For example, here Decidueye, and I just look at all the tutorials that they have on them, and I try to pick different poses. That way people could have like different options for different poses. Usually the most common one is where he has like one wing up, you know, and he's like standing. And I didn't see anybody else do this one as a tutorial, so I wanted to do this one, which I thought was pretty cool, you know. So maybe you guys would like it too. So I did end up coloring it, as you guys can see here. I used my Prisma Premier color markers to color them. I used the regular green and the darker green, or I think I used the same green. No, I used two different greens. I used darker green and a regular green. The darker I used for the shadows. For example, on his like chin area, on the green, I'm talking about the green right here, on his chin area, and then some of the corners, you know, they're a little bit darker, so I used that, and then I just went over it with the regular green, and basically that's it. For the wings, I used the one brown. I use just like the brown that you guys see there. Like for example, the wing that's like smaller, that's the normal brown. And then on the other wing, I did the same thing, but then once it was dry, I went over like the shadows, you know, looking at the reference, and I just did like where the shadows would be. And even though I'm using the same brown, just going over it twice makes it a little bit darker, you know. So that's something I learned while I was doing my using those markers. So if you guys use the same markers or just markers in general, maybe that's something that might help you guys doing. Although it's not as smooth as the reference, just because the reference looks like it was computer made. So obviously in the computer it's a little bit more easy to smooth out any colors or lines or stuff like that. So there we go, guys. And then for the body, I used like a gray. And then once again, I did the same thing. I went over like the shadow areas, and then I just, once it was dry, I went over it again just to make it a little bit more darker in some spots. And it just gives it like those different hues, you know, like the light gray, and then it gets a little bit darker in some areas, and it just gives it a little bit more I don't know how more not realistic, because obviously it's not realistic, but it just helps it out a lot more than just having one single grade. And then for the face and the X that he has on his, or the bow tie, because when he was a Rowlet, I guess, or Rowlet, he had like a bow tie. Now it's orange, and it's basically like an X or a star or something like that. And I did the same thing for the orange. I basically colored it orange. Also the face, like the middle of the face, it's also orange, and also the feather, the top of the feather where it starts, is orange as well. So I just colored that. And then once it was dry, I went over it, or before it dried up, I mean, I went over it with that brown, just because brown and orange are like almost in the same family, I guess you could say. Not exactly, you know, but like, just because I don't have words for it, but basically they're like in the same family, so they complement each other in that way where it's almost the same tone. So I just went over it and just made it a little bit darker on the orange, like on the shadows. And if you guys notice, it works really well with it, just because they complement each other in a way, you know, they're kind of in the same tone and almost in the same family. So I used the brown for the shadows on the orange. You guys could do the same thing, where you guys could just go over that part with the orange. And then for the beak, the eyelid, and on top of his forehead, like the inside his face, I used the darkest gray that I had. And then basically that's it, guys. And then for like the tips of the feathers on the fingers, like I said before, and the feather that is sticking out of his head and his body, the white areas, I used my colored pencils, just because I didn't have a marker that was that kind of tone. It's kind of like a light peach tone. I used my colored pencils, and I used like a skin tone for that, although it helps it a lot, to be honest. If I wouldn't have done it, it would have looked a little bit more simple, I guess you could say, but at the same time, it's something that you might not notice. I used that for that though, and basically that's it. And then I outlined it in a pen, just a ballpoint, a black ballpoint. I'm sorry guys, I've been talking for like 20 minutes already. And basically that's it, guys. I could have used maybe a Sharpie, a fine tip Sharpie, but I thought the outline would have been too thick, you know, so I just used the pen, since it's like the thinnest one I could use, so it just makes it look really good, you know. And then for those like highlights that you guys see, for example on the green hood and stuff like that, also on the tail, I used a white gel pen, just to add some of those highlights, because if you guys look at the reference, he doesn't have white highlights, he actually has like highlights, but it's the same color but just a lot lighter, and I couldn't do that, so I just used my white gel pen just to give it a little bit more to it, you know, a little bit more detail, though it probably would have looked a lot better without them, but I just decided to add those. And that's it, guys. So I just want to thank you guys for watching. Once again, leave a like if you guys ended up drawing Decidueye. Let me know in the comment section below. Leave a like and let me know how it turned out. I want to know how many people actually do it, so please leave a comment, let me know that you guys did it. And also, like always, you guys could always share your drawings with me. I didn't have any at the beginning of this video, just because I haven't had anybody send any of their drawings, so you guys always have that option. You guys can send them to my Twitter and email. The links will be in the description, and I'll be happy to share them at the beginning of my other videos. Like I don't know if you guys see my other videos, I do that. So I just want to thank you guys for watching, and I guess I'll just catch you guys on my next video. Team Rocket Draws